it's me, Erin. Thanks for joining us on the More Love podcast. Do not tell Rebecca, but this podcast is about empathy. She likes people to think she's dead inside, but the truth is she's a big-time feeler who has truly helped me uncover that empathy is my superpower. Oh, here she comes.
Hey, bestie.
Hi, love.
What are you doing?
Oh, just getting ready to host a podcast.
A podcast? About what?
Life. Our life as best friends, who are more like sisters.
Ah, yay! I love us, and I can't wait to share our stories with the world.
Especially the ones that involve us pushing each other, right? To be our most authentic selves.
Oh, man. Okay.
I know why people like our show.
Why?
I have the answer.
What is it?
I saw a meme the other day, and the meme said, "What's with all the podcasts about best friends? I'd rather see a podcast with two arch enemies across the table from each other talking about things." Mm-hmm. And in that moment, I thought, that's us.
Yeah, we're arch enemies.
Best friends and completely opposite.
I mean, it's true.
Do not agree on a good majority of things, or see the world from completely different perspectives.
Yeah.
So we're like the perfect type of arch enemies that love each other. And
for like frenemies.
Yeah.
Frenemies.
Right.
Keep your enemies closer.
Right. So we're not like that nice podcast that's like, oh my God, we're two best friends and we're going to have coffee and we're going to talk about what's going on in the world. Instead, we're like, we are going to have coffee and we're going to talk about what's going on in the world from someone who cares a lot and one person who doesn't give a shit. Thanks for coming to More Love.
I mean, I do give a shit about some things.
Right.
Yes.
Animals, period.
No,
and,
not period.
Oh, okay. Soccer. And so, okay. But yeah, so I found that out. That's what's happening. Also,
very
Scott, we have some very important news to update you on. And no, it's not about 3,000.
Your pool?
Not about your pool.
Damn.
It's the noises that Rebecca's cat was making. A couple weeks ago. You'll remember that we talked at length about the fact that her cat meows excessively outside of the door. And Rebecca very clearly knew the reason why this was happening. You'll remember, Scott, was because her husband was going to work early and Tice wanted to make sure that Taylor knew it was time for her to wake up to go to school.
Yes.
Okay, so we have an update on said saga after Rebecca returns from a very long weekend in Pennsylvania. So why don't you fill us all in?
Yeah. So I come home to my beloved cat, not looking too good. And I think something's up. Something's up with this cat. And our cat sitter texted Philip and said, something's up with your cat. So do I call the emergency vet office? Sure do. Do I take him in? Sure do. Does he have the diabetes? Sure does.
Wilford Brimley.
My cat.
Oh my.
He's got the diabetes.
Has the diabetes.
He's got the diabetes.
The cat oatmeal.
He is.
Oh, I cannot.
The cat oatmeal?
What? Oh, here we go. Here we go.
God. So he now has to go on I had to research what it meant to have a diabetic cat. Mm-hmm. I had to make a treatment plan for him, which option one was insulin shots twice a day.
Yeah.
Every 12 hours.
Oh my God.
And monitor the glucose.
Glucose?
Glucose, not the blood the glucose levels in his blood sugar or whatever. Or I can do a up and coming pill that's a once a day option.
Oh, you didn't tell me we were in clinical trials.
No, we're out of the clinical trials, but it's definitely, I had to have multiple verbal conversations with the vet that they understood what was going on with this medication. And I had to sign all these things. Oh yeah, it's like a thing. So he now has to go onto this medication that is once a day, but I still have to try to stick this thing under his urine stream and monitor his ketones.
Oh, good.
Because if he goes into ketosis, we are in a bad place. He can't do the keto diet.
Yeah.
We can't do the keto diet.
Atkins for Tice.
No. He has to go on high protein, no carb diet.
Maybe and he can some soft food.
He's supposed to eat soft food, but he won't eat it. I've tried. He will not do it. So he's going to lose a lot of weight now because he's got to eat this food he's not going to like, but oh well. And so that's where we're at. I ordered the pills yesterday. Ironically, they're called Bexacat. When she said that to me, I almost died. Bexacat. Died. My nickname is Bex, Bex. And so when I read that, I'm like, is this a fucking sign? Like, what? So it was so funny. So we have the diabetic cat. I had to have him have an IV. He's like a different cat now.
Oh, well, how did he show up when after his IV?
Oh my God, he was like Quasimodo. He was so puffed out and fat. My husband's like, what's wrong with him? I go, they just pumped him full of fluids. The poor thing. And he's great. So of course Philip goes, I think they got it wrong. I think
because now he's okay.
Because now he's not, literally, he's great. I go, Philip, they did blood work. Their numbers don't lie. He's like, he's fine. I'm like, So of course, when the vet calls, I'm like, I just need to clarify something.
Oh my gosh.
He's great. And they're like, yeah, that's what the fluids do. But once those were off, he could go right back to, he was drinking dirty dishwater.
Yeah.
The poor thing. So basically what happened was he was starving and super thirsty because his pancreas wasn't working correctly. And when he would intake the food and the water, it would just bypass every cell in his body and it would just excrete. He was 18 and a half pounds. He's now 14.
Yep.
Yeah. The poor little man.
I mean, so much to unpack here about little Tice's journey.
I know.
So she calls me and she's like, you're never going to believe what happened. And I came home and this is what was going on with Tice. And it turns out he has the diabetes. He's got the good old diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
And what do I say? Time to go.
I know. So
take him out.
Philip said the same thing.
Take him out. We're not doing that. That's too much, which I mean, for someone who has a tremendous amount of empathy, I'm also incredibly practical. So in my mind, I'm thinking we're doing the blood sugar testing constantly. Right. We're doing this. We're doing that. We're spending ridiculous amounts of money. We got this cat on monitors or whatever the heck is going on, which really is how the first option was sounding. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Option. We love our pets very much. But once we get into the thousands and thousands of dollars a month, we really need to make some clear decisions about how much of a member of a family they are. Right. And
you know what? That's really hard.
I know.
I went through the same thing because my wife's mom, my in-laws, they always have a dog that has some like rare thing. Like, oh, they just got this German Shepherd and his hips are bad, even though like before they got him, he was fine. But every time they get a dog, their dog has some kind of a weird thing and they've got to go through all these hoops to take care of the dog. Like my mother-in-law had to cook an entire turkey every week because the dog would only eat turkey.
Yeah, I know. I mean, so of course, and what I appreciated about the emergency vet is that they literally, I appreciated it. Other people may not, probably you.
Yeah.
They said, he's officially diabetic. Here's some websites. Go home and read about it. She did not. She was like, if I say anything to you, it's going to be beyond overwhelming. And I don't want to imply one way is better than the other, whatever. So I appreciate that. I appreciated that. Because of course, when I get home, my husband's like, well, what's the plan? I go, I don't know. We got to figure it out. He's like, what do you mean? They should just tell you.
Yeah.
And I said, but the problem is there's options. The good thing, which is why I'm optimistic. We caught it relatively early. She said, according to his numbers, you probably are he's called a happy diabetic. You're probably in a good time frame because she said most people just assume the cat's just off and that maybe they ate something or whatever, right? Until they're like debilitated because they're like deteriorating, right? Yeah. Then they can no longer walk. Like it's a whole thing. She's like, you really are in a good place. She goes, number 2, animals can go into remission. People cannot go into remission from diabetes, but animals can. And she said, you have a really high chance of doing that if you choose the treatments. She's like, you can choose to do nothing. He'll just deteriorate and die. He goes, but this is a quote unquote livable and curable potential. So just doing something. And I go, can I get away without doing the insulin? Can I just do the cat food, like the protein? And she's like, not with his numbers. Some cats you can. So of course, do I join all the Facebook groups?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All the Facebook groups.
Okay. Are you in the Bexacat Facebook
I'm in the
groups?
Bexacat.
Okay.
Yes, because I decided ultimately that's what I got to do.
There's Facebook groups for diabetic cats.
Sure are.
Love that for people.
Sure are.
Love that.
And I am right down the rabbit hole. And
bet.
I have a lot of hope because people are saying like anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months, their cats have gone into remission.
Okay.
So, and then what happens when they go into remission, they just remain on the diet or the diabetic cat food.
Okay.
You just don't need to give them the medication.
Their numbers.
And then you monitor their numbers. That's it. And it's really easy to do. It's not as complicated as you think. You use a people monitor. You just prick the cat's ear, which they don't give a shit about. And you test their blood every once in a while. And you just make sure their numbers are within range and that they're acting normal. And that's pretty much it.
Now, when we first started this, there was an option that you were going to have to shave his butt.
Yes,
and
not his butt.
Put
there's a monitoring. There is a
monitor.
There's
a monitor into his cat skin.
There's a thing that you can do. Like people have.
Yeah,
that
Dexicom.
The cats can wear.
The cat Dexicom.
But the challenge with that is cats go under beds and they run around and they don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Right. I'm not sure who came up with that technology, but maybe there's some better options out there.
So we're going to try this. The question is, will he take the pill? I don't know. Am I going to shove it down his throat? 100%.
Give it to him with some cheese. He'll take it then.
No, he won't eat any of that. He doesn't like any of that.
Like human food?
No.
How about tuna?
Nope. I tried. I've been trying because he's supposed to eat the wet food. So cats are supposed to eat wet food because it's moisture and all this stuff, right?
Occasionally. They're not supposed to live off of wet food.
They are supposed to live off of wet food.
No, they're not supposed to live off of wet food.
Okay. I'm now in a diabetic group and they are supposed to.
Sorry. Okay, so maybe diabetic cats have to live off of wet food, but other cats do not live off of wet food.
Well, that's why I never gave them wet food.
They do not have the crunch. And if you don't have the crunch, then they get teeth tartar.
The problem with the crunch is that there are unnecessary... Cats are... carnivores. They're only supposed to eat meat, which is soft.
I can't.
So,
we have a vet here in the studio here today. We all of a sudden have a diabetic cat.
That's right.
So now I know all the license at the same time.
Yes. So when they eat this hard food, it's all filled with carbohydrates, which our cats are not supposed to have, which is why we are having a issue in the world of cats.
Are we? Yes. Okay. We have an obesity problem in the world of cats.
Yes.
Oh, this is great. This is an absolutely excellent episode. Tell us more about the fat cats of the world.
So,
I'm sorry, not the fats, the ones who are losing their way.
Actually,
and
not all fat cats are diabetic.
Correct.
And not all
fat people are diabetic.
Right.
That's right.
So anyway, we're on a journey and he won't eat the wet food. So
I want to be really clear that I will be posting some links in the Facebook group about how cats are supposed to have a combination of wet food and dry food, because it's very important to me that we provide correct information on the More Love podcast.
I know that you think your way is the only way, but...
Okay, well, Scott and I are 2 against 1 here.
Okay, all right.
Just going to post some of those in the More Love podcast group. I'm sure you're going to counteract it with all of the, newfound links that you found in a 10-minute search.
No conspiracy websites for cat food.
No, she's on, excuse me, Scott. She's on some Facebook groups now. Excuse me. These people, extraordinaires. And that may be true. Do I know I don't have a diabetic cat?
Right.
So it may be true that diabetic cats have to have wet food exclusively for whatever reason. But I do know.
It's the preferred method of keeping them in their sugar level.
What I heard you say was every single cat needs to not have dry food. And my vet has said to me, you do not want to give your cat just wet food, because then they're not using their molars and whatever, and that can cause other problems.
I'm not denying that. But what I'm saying is...
Did she deny that originally,
No, I did not. I did not deny that.
Play it back.
What I said... No, what I said was, well, first of all, not all vets agree on all things, just like doctors.
Oh, very true.
So you can choose whatever vet you want. You can choose whatever
you do, at least get it to where 9 out of 10 agree, because that's...
I think you would be hard pressed.
4 out of 5.
I mean, that would be great, but people don't do that. People tend to go with what they feel most comfortable with, whatever that may be.
As long as you're in a group of a bunch of people saying exactly what you want to hear, you're good.
Exactly.
Oh my
exactly.
God.
That's exactly what it is. So
I'm dying right now. Like, I feel fire through my whole body. I can't. I can't wait to read this, listen to this back.
So anyway, back to my diabetic cat issue.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's funny because, and then of course you have the cat preferences, right? But my cats only grew up on hard food because nobody got time for wet food, and that's gross, and it smells weird, and it's expensive, and it's gross. So that's probably why he doesn't eat it. But he doesn't like human food.
But he's picky about other food too, which is interesting.
Yes, he's never liked a human food. He just
my cat's like that too.
Yeah, he's just both of my cats are like that. But but we were also a free feeding house. Like you just put the food in the bowl and they eat whenever they want. So she said that has to change. So I have since purchased a electronic distributor.
We have that
of the food because now he can only eat certain times a day. But I had to order the food that he's supposed to eat because obviously these are too high in carbs. So the new food is coming today, and we are going to start with you have to like mix it up and try to get it. He's going to pick them all out because he's that kind of cat. And then eventually he'll just have to suck it up and deal. And everything I'm reading says that the other cat should just eat the diabetic food because it's just better for them anyway. So that's what we're doing. And it's not, don't get me wrong. It's not diabetic food. I'm not getting
like, you're such a dick. Now look what I got.
I know. And she's tiny. She's really tiny.
You're like, whatever.
But wait, I want to be clear. I'm not doing the prescription diabetic food. I'm just doing high protein, low carb food. I'm not doing.
Thank you for clarifying that. I bet a lot of listeners were really worried if you were about to drop some extra buck on the prescription food.
Definitely not doing that. No.
Go buy mice and feed them mice.
Listen, things that are really important to this story that we have today. So first of all, you know how I all feel about Rebecca's hippie voo stuff. And I would like to point out that her original thought that the cat was meowing because it was a human alarm.
No, he still does. He still does.
More related to the fact that he was slowly dying of the diabetes as opposed to the alarm system. No, I understand that she has a different point of view. This is why we're the Frenemies podcast from here forward. And whatever she wants to say is fine. Whatever. It's fine. So that's an important thing to notice. There was something else I was going to say, and now I can't remember what it was because you completely threw me off with the dry food, and I can't wait to get home and look up my links. But I can't remember what that was. But yeah, so that's happening here in the Herzog household.
Poor baby.
We had a similar problem with our dog that passed away not too long before we got Lexi. Dexter had Addison's disease.
Oh, yes. A friend of mine's dog has that.
We had to give him a shot of Zycortal every month, and he was on prednisone, and he was on some other kind of thyroid medication.
I know.
I was the guy who said, look, if we get a dog that gets all kinds of medical problems, the shit starts costing us money.
Gotta go. I know, but
put him down. And I couldn't. I was like, I wanted to do everything I can to save them. And then he went crazy, and we had to put him down anyway. But
I do think
it's because of all that medication. He went crazy.
Yeah. And it is in my mind more financial and life altering decision making than it is emotional. So I understand it's hard to separate that emotion part, but you hear these stories about people who go tens to $20,000 to $30,000.
Yeah, no, we have a limit.
Debt, right? So every family has a limit, right? But at the same time, yeah, you might go over. Well, if it's $1,200 instead of $1,000, where are we at? It's definitely not easy by any means to make these types of decisions.
Well, it's also outcome. Like, you know how they
Prognosis.
Say to you, we could do this, surgery, but there's a 10% chance they're going to survive it.
Right. Or also quality of life after. My mom has always focused for all of our animals, even when I was growing up, on quality of life.
Yes. And
how is their life going to be after the fact?
That's why we chose to do it.
Not? Right.
Because diabetes is not a death sentence.
Right.
Cancer, different story. Right. And the fact that his prognosis is so good and that he could go into remission, and that feels really good. And, this can be a month by month decision.
Yeah.
Well,
we think he's on the right path and he's doing what he needs to do.
Right.
It's great.
So
that's great. I really would love if you could maybe do an out and about around town while you're taking the keto stick and putting it under your cat's ass while it's in the
toilet
box.
In the toilet.
Yeah. I feel
100%.
Like maybe that's good. Show 100%. Us how that's done.
Absolutely.
That's a good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. You pulled a card for us today.
Yes.
It's the Hierophant. The Hierophant. 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 What are you laughing about? The word Hierophant?
We didn't know how to say it.
Oh, yes. This orderly fellow has arrived to lay down the law, pin up the rules, and probably lecture you about his color-coded chore wheel. But before you scream, "You're not the boss of me," and run out the door, get honest for a second and see if you could actually benefit from a little more discipline. This card may be echoing some sort of literal structured hierarchy in your life. School, the military, having Erin as a best friend. Oops, that one wasn't in here. Brand new job with a shiny new cubicle, or just be a friendly reminder to listen to your best friend, elders, and get your shit together. Whatever the case, those dishes aren't going to do themselves. So yeah. I aspire to be more like Erin. I aspire to be the best I can be. Right now, that means order over chaos, wisdom over brain garbage, and working over shirking.
What? Working over shirking?
The word brain garbage is my new favorite word.
I was going to say,
if there is a word that I associate with you and your wet food talk, it's brain garbage.
Brain garbage.
I'm sorry that we're officially using the term brain garbage from here forward.
Great.
Anytime
it's like fake news.
It comes up. Yeah. It's
fake news.
That's brain garbage. That's brain garbage.
That's funny.
The
reason I had you read that is because when I skimmed it, I'm like, oh, she's going to love to show this, share this right now.
I mean, could this one be any more perfect timing wise for what we just talked about?
I know.
And my whole life. I mean, oh my God, I forgot to tell you this. So someone commented on our YouTube video. We don't know this person.
Wow.
It's a new person.
All right. What did they say?
I'm going to tell you what it was. I'm going to tell you why they were wrong too,
is it a man or a woman?
Was it a link to buy a t-shirt or something?
No. It was on the YouTube video Sense of Self at Work.
Oh.
Or so either we had a video about that. It was the one where Nina was on.
Okay.
And we were talking about it was the video of me where I was like, just because you're my supervisor doesn't mean I'm listening to what you're saying.
Was it the short that I uploaded?
Yes, I think so.
I uploaded that promo as a short to see how the shorts are getting, if they're getting views.
Well, somebody made a comment.
It performed, Scott.
What did the comment
we don't know.
All right.
Ready?
Wait, how do you know we don't know?
Because her name, I see her picture in there.
And we don't. What if I know her?
You don't.
Oh. Okay.
You don't.
Okay.
Very positive that you do not.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. I don't know if I understand this right, but if it's work related, of course your supervisor is in a position to criticize you. They can have feedback about you. Feedback is one way you can get promoted or demoted. It can help you be better at handling your workload. If you don't take feedback and criticism from your boss/supervisor, why are you working there? Just be your own boss. Even people in the same position often ask for feedback for improvement.
Oh, wow. It got 535 views.
Stop it, Scott.
Looks like we're putting more shorts up.
Okay.
Love that.
That was I did that yesterday.
Stop it.
Yes.
This is great. Anyway, that was brain garbage, what she just put on there. That's complete brain garbage. But listen, I do understand what this person is saying. Okay. So what they're saying is if you're going to work in a place, then you go ahead and make sure that you are in a supervisory relationship where someone can give you feedback. And you know what? I agree with that. You're welcome to give feedback at any time. It's my desire to take the feedback that the entire short was about. However, I'm really happy that you commented on our post because someone cared enough to comment.
I mean, I think it's great.
Isn't this awesome?
I think it's great.
Leave that brain garbage off the page. All right. So anyway, speaking of brain garbage, this is what we're talking about today.
Okay. He never started the timer, so are you going to be able to reel it in?
Oh, it's
yeah. I got it,
we got
Scott.
23 minutes. I did start it.
I'm pretty positive. I knew that.
I just know you and you need structure.
I told you you're supposed to tell me if the timer doesn't start.
Oh. Timer didn't start.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Helpful.
24
Super
minutes
helpful.
in.
Okay. Here's the question. How do you spot a hoax? How do you spot a hoax? And this is what is propelling this discussion today.
I can't wait.
So Mark and I watch a whole bunch of stuff on TV at night. And this last thing we were watching the other day was about a man who got married to this woman and then basically lied to her the entire time they were together about every single part about his relationship, his business, how much money he made.
You mean his life?
His entire life.
Okay.
Everything he lied about.
Wow.
And then
nice guy.
Convinced her that he used to be in some branch of the military and he was a CIA agent and he took out a person and now the government related with that was coming after him.
I feel like I saw this.
Me too.
And that...
Did he kill someone?
No.
Oh, okay. Then
he needed to fake his own death.
Oh.
In order to keep her and the family safe.
They have kids now?
They could show, or these were kids from past marriage or whatever.
Okay. Like a Brady family.
If he could show that he was dead through this death certificate, then the government would end up leaving them alone and, not be following them. And he somehow convinced this woman that he was flying to Argentina, that he was, which really apparently was true. He was flying to Argentina.
Okay.
He got someone from the crematorium to scoop up like ashes off of the floor and put them in a box, sent back to her for her to show the family.
I need to make a comment. I don't think the crematorium has ashes on the floor. And if they do, we got to go and investigate that.
Maybe it wasn't from the floor.
That's a problem.
There's maybe
they took half of other people. That might be okay. But if the crematorium is messy,
maybe not on the floor. What, you're thinking it's an issue of public safety?
I'm thinking. They're gone. I think
it doesn't matter.
I think it's an issue with an employee problem, and that supervisor needs to give some feedback.
Well. The crematorium man's not interested, so that's why we run into some problems.
Okay, keep going.
But, so anyway, took some ashes from who knows where. It could have been a damn tree outside. I don't know. But they took these ashes, put them in a box, send it to this woman. This woman then goes and shows the family,
Wait, she's in on it.
Dad's dead. Well, so in on it is an interesting phrase because she believes she's doing it because she needs to keep everyone safe.
Right.
So she knows
he's faking his death.
Faking his death, but she thinks it's a very legitimate reason to be faking his death.
Got it. Yep.
And so she shows them that the son has a memorial service for him. They sign the death certificate. He has a doctor sign the death certificate with a notary stamp. He, goes through all of these links. Well, the reason that he's doing this is because he wants to collect the life insurance policies of close to $8 million on himself or have his wife
will collect it.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever. So anyway, I could tell you all the different details associated with this. It was quite fascinating.
What was this on? Because I think I saw this, or at least part of it.
Oh my God, Mark always picks it, so I don't really know if it was Netflix or it could have been Netflix.
Just one of the murder shows?
Yeah,
that's all we watch too. So.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we just watch a ton of them. But it was fascinating. And then this woman he ends up getting caught. And going to jail for pretty much the rest of his life. She ends up getting caught and being in a conspiracy situation where she's a part of that. She now has this ankle bracelet and also had to go to jail for 17 months.
Yeah.
This was a woman like you and I who just means well. She was like in community service organizations. Like she was just like this normal, wonderful, kind human being, right? And he takes her on this ride and she thinks that she's benefiting the family and she's holding up the story even to the cops. The cops are like, I'm going to give you one more chance to tell me. And she's like, well, I can't tell him because he told me that they were going to ask me this and whatever. And she's crying the entire time. I don't know how long it's been since this has happened. And my heart just ached for this woman that she was so vulnerable to this man and thought she was doing the right thing and ended up
getting screwed.
Ended up in this situation. And
I think that happens a lot, not that extreme.
Right.
But I think it happens a lot.
That's when I say, how do you spot a hoax? So the other example we have of this is Scott. You shared with us, and did you ever watch that?
I listened to it.
You listened to it, right?
Yeah.
You shared with us an audio clip of your prior podcast that was of this man who I'll link it in the description because it's like a 20-minute conversation. I listened to it twice. I then showed it to Mark. I couldn't stop listening to it. I was fascinated by it.
Yeah.
Where this man essentially is getting completely raked over the coals by this company that thinks he's talking to this woman that he's going to save who's going into human trafficking. And there's no way as you're listening to this that you're like, this is not it. He had spent thousands and thousands of dollars, right? So all of this, you got the man who's faking his own death. You got Scott's situation that Scott did a phenomenal job on this podcast being like, dude, I think you're getting duped here. I hope that you're not. I hope that even Mark was like, Scott nailed that interview. Scott did a great job. I'm like, I know. He really kept his composure. It was really great. And then something as stupid as Nina and Laura were looking for new couches. And on the Friends and Family Fairport Facebook group, there was a post of 4 images of what looked like absolutely brand new 2 couches, a 3-seater and like a 2-seater, all recliner, 0 gravity, perfect color, absolutely beautiful in someone's home. And it said, we're selling both of these for $350 total because we are moving out of state. We can't take it with us and we just want to get it out of here. So I immediately am like, hey, very interested. Let me know. I reach out to Nina and Laura. I'm like, hey, is this something that you would be interested in? I think these are exactly what you've described to me. And Nina or Laura, one of them was like, are you sure that that's real? And I'm like, I am sure that it's real. I said, this stuff happens in this community all the time. It's not a cheap community. They usually have really nice stuff. They usually do give it away because they have the money to be able to buy new things. Like there's stuff on the free groups all the time.
Yeah, this isn't a marketplace.
No, this is literally in the Friends and Family of Fairport group. So I reach out and this person responds back to me and says, I'm really sorry. I've been at work all day. I've not been able to get back in touch with you. But yes, they are still available. We then go through a pretty normal conversation until it starts to get to the point where I'm like, I'm so excited. This is great. When can we come pick them up? And do you have delivery available? Well, yes, I do have delivery available. Okay, well, how much would delivery be? Well, I think it would be fair if we did $100 delivery and, the cost of the thing for $350. And she's like, what I would ask to hold them is that you send me the $100 delivery fee and then we will bring it out tomorrow. It was at that point that I started to be like, something about this doesn't feel right. Right. So I start to ask more questions like, well, where are you located? And can I come to your house and see the couches and give you, the whatever. So then it all started to go downhill and crumble from there because these people, unless you're a super con like these, other people that we were talking about are, they can't keep up the charade. And that's exactly what happened. So then I start to see in the Facebook page that everyone starts to write under the picture, this is a scam. Don't talk to this person, right? So I then reach out to Kelly up the street and I'm like, can you write to this person and tell them you're interested in the couches and let's see how this parallel conversation goes. So Kelly up the street reaches out. She's texting me all the stuff that she's sending to this person and you can tell immediately it's a scam and then we report it to administrators and whatever. So something small like that with these couches, thank God no money was exchanged, but all they needed was the delivery fee from 5 people. You've just made yourself $500. Right. And then never planning on doing anything with it. That is in a Friends and Family of Fairport Facebook group that has a list on it that you have to answer. One of the questions is, what is your favorite, thing about Fairport? Give us a landmark, give us a whatever, like to try and really clarify that you're from the area. Right. So this person answered all of those questions, somehow got in the group and then was doing this type of scam.
People do it all the time with animals.
Yeah.
They are like, here's a purebred Maltese, whatever. And then they take deposits and then either they get a shit dog or they get screwed. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, there's also something similar to that where people will say this dog is missing or this cat is missing and people share it. And for whatever reason, there's some way that the scammers are able to get your personal information from you clicking on the link for the, for the lost animal or whatever.
Yeah.
And,
I'm telling you, people are nuts.
And I do say this, right? So I work in a tech company. So I'm hypersensitive to these tech-related scams that go on all of the time. And it's not a week that goes by that I'm not sending a message to one of my employees that is like, I don't understand why people can't spend their time doing something else. This is terrible to do to people, right?
Because people fall for it.
And it's more and more convincing.
The time.
And I can't tell you how much money the credit card companies lose on a regular basis.
I just got an email from Verizon sent to all the people on our account saying your account didn't go through or your monthly payment didn't go through. What, all of a sudden this week out of the 20 years we've been with you?
Yeah.
And that was a scam.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I just got one this morning from QuickBooks saying something like that. And you look at it and, you know, you have to kind of...
You have to determine.
You have to look at the address and be like, wait a second, because they write it in such a way that it almost looks right.
It's identical.
But then if you tap like the arrow so that you see the whole email,
it's then just one letter off.
Or the email address.
Yeah.
Right. Because the email address is like EJV7689110, whatever at Verizon.
But we get those all the time where it says, thank you for your payment.
Thank you for your payment.
To the Geek Squad or something.
Yeah. And you're like, I didn't make that payment. Right. And you start to get nervous.
If this is an error, call this number.
Yeah. Right.
And you know who's falling for it?
Old people.
I know.
They're falling for it. They're paying the money. They're doing all the things. And, you know, it's sad. And
not only that, I mean, there's so many people. So whether it's like the email scam or all the way up to that crazy con artist, I can't wrap my mind around why we're using our powers for bad. Why we are choosing. In that case, I understand. That man's a sociopath in the case of the faking your own death, right? You're willing to you're a con man. I actually would verge on saying you don't have the capacity to care about anyone, right? But I just wonder about this human component associated with, like, is there any part of you that felt bad that you took this poor woman for a ride? Or was she just absolutely a pawn and you have 0.00 feelings about it?
Now, people like that, they're like, I hate to make this connection, but they're like Hitler. Hitler believed in survival of the fittest. So at the end of World War II, when Germany was losing, he came up with this policy, this scorched earth policy, saying that he wanted his people to start blowing up all of the infrastructure in Germany because the Germans were too weak. They couldn't win the war, so they didn't deserve it anyway. Like, the Germans didn't deserve to live. And there are some people who are like that, where they say, if people fall for this, they deserve to lose.
I was just going to say, it's like, well,
mindset.
If you're stupid, you're stupid.
Yeah,
get better.
And I'm just making a buck.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say. I think
my tools to make a buck.
Right. And you know what? If you don't fall for it, fine. I'll move on to somebody who will.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. I think that is 100% true. I do think that the extreme examples. I also think, like, other examples where you've gotten away with it for a little, like, let's say tax fraud or any sort of like fraudulent thing that you might not have intentionally done. You were like stealing from Paul to pay Peter or whatever, that concept. And if you get away with it long enough, it's like, oh, okay, I'll keep going. Or I haven't filed my taxes in 4 years and nothing's happened, so I'm going to keep going.
Do you both believe in karma?
I do.
Way? Erin, do you believe in karma in any way? Or do you just have a certain moral code that you live by because that's what you believe in, but not any kind of, you know.
It's more that. It's more integrity and moral code for myself, which is really strong. And then that's what makes me confused. But I will catch myself saying, it's all right, I don't need to handle that. The universe will take care of that. So I don't know if that's karma, right? If that's a form of karma.
The same concept. But like, I just had a client overpay me by like $700 in a direct deposit that I didn't catch until 2 weeks later. And a part of me was like, well, just be quiet about that. And then I was like, no, I can't do that. There's no way you could do that, because one, you're eventually going to get found out, but it's not the right thing to do.
Right.
And it's like my wife Kelly and I we're big fans of that, because early on in our marriage, there were times where we would go shopping and be like, oh, I forgot I forgot to pay for this. Yeah, fuck them. You know? And now it's like, I'll drive back and I'll go and pay for it and say, hey, I walked out with this and I didn't pay for it. And
I'm keeping that free shit.
People laugh at me. People laugh. Well, that's not free shit. That's stolen shit.
If you want to get, I'm keeping that stolen shit.
Right.
But people laugh at me for that same reason.
Now,
and I'm
would you intentionally steal it, or was it?
No, it was
I
total
forgot
mistake.
that this was in the bottom of the cart.
Yeah, it was in my pocket, like when I was carrying a bunch of stuff. It never intentionally anything like that. But we believe so much in that if you do stuff that's either however you classify it, morally wrong, or just goes against the universe and what the universe feels is right, that yes, at some point, might not be now, might not be 10 years from now, but at one point, that's going to come back to you, and it's going to come back to you even stronger than what you did, whatever wrong that you pulled. And there's those people like the guy in the show that you're talking about, where they get away with it for a long time, But when it comes back, it comes back like with a vengeance, and it might be 20 years after you do something, but eventually that comes back, and you're like,
I have a very hard time. So we've heard me talk a million times about the lawsuit that we have open right now with the home builder of our home. And still has not come to a resolution. It's fine. Hopefully we're a little closer than we were. Well, I know we're a little closer than we were when we started this thing. But one of the things I've said to our attorney is, I can't live in a world that doesn't have clear bounds around justice. Because I don't know how to operate in an environment. This might be part of my, very black and white thinking sometimes. But I can't live in a world that is not clear about behavior that is wrong, incorrect, or unfair to other people. And I know that the reality is there have been things that have happened to people. I'm not talking things like death, right? And the untimely passing, right? I'm talking more like there was an action that was taken against me and it shouldn't have worked out that way. I know there are people that are in that situation.
Yeah.
But I can't think of many times in my life where I have been a part of a situation that was blatantly wrong or clearly unfair that has not worked itself out in the right way within a reasonable amount of time. So I think that that's what allows me to work from this moral compass place, is that I know I'm in charge of what I do every single day. I always am kind and honest and give my best every single day. When I'm not, I address that, and I'm the first one to be like, I'm really sorry that this happened. If I didn't realize it, I hope you'll bring it up to me, and then I will determine whether or not, what malfunctioned there, what happened. But it's just so interesting to me to think about people who were in these unjust situations for ridiculously long amounts of time and then didn't have that sense of justice at the end. I can't. Are you specifically
referring to the woman who had to go to jail?
Because or any situation.
But then you use that excuse of you don't know what you don't know, right? And then it's like, so because of you don't know what you don't know, that means you get away with it. She was part of that scenario, whether she was coerced or not.
No, it's true. And that doesn't, the government doesn't give a shit.
Correct. You don't, it's like if you have a husband and wife, it's the same scenario. You have a husband and wife, and the wife is just, well, you take care of all the finances, right? And because I'm legally married to you, I'm bound to the decisions that he makes, right? Mm-hmm. Or if he's not filing taxes, but lying to you and saying yes, whatever, you're going to get in trouble too. And you can't go to the government and be like, well, I didn't know. Well, then you didn't uphold your marriage contract. It's the concept of, I have a concealed carry gun permit. Mm-hmm. There's rules associated with that in New York. I can't just carry my gun anywhere in the country. right? Now I don't have a gun, but I'm just saying I can't drive into Pennsylvania or whatever. And I can't use the excuse of, well, I didn't know that. Well, you should know that because you have a license. You should know all the rules. You should ask those questions. You should do X, Y, and Z, right?
Do you have any feelings, though, for this woman who got duped?
Sure.
Of course.
But
yeah, it sucks, but you got to pay the price
of it.
Yeah.
Oh, so you still think she needs to pay the price?
Yeah, it sucks
for it.
It sucks. That sucks really bad. And I wish that you had asked more questions. I wish that, I mean,
I don't see. That's the thing. It's like, I don't, what did she end up? She ended up
17 months in jail, or 15 months or something in jail. And then
that's nothing.
The ankle thing for 3 months.
She got off light considering what happened. But I agree with you, Erin. I know that's like, it's just not fair that someone can be taken advantage of like that and then have to pay the price. It's just the unfair reality of life is that
there's rules for a reason. It's like you can't pick and choose when the rules are upheld. Yeah. Based on emotions, based on, oh, well, I didn't know. Oh, okay. It's like you can't have it both ways.
Yeah, I didn't know that I was supposed to pay for that.
Right. I didn't know that I had to file.
You didn't know that, but you're supposed to. So now I'm going to charge you or whatever.
I think what I over-identify with this is over the past year, more last year than into this year, I was a part of a situation where I got taken for a ride by someone that I really genuinely trusted, had my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure I was doing the right thing and I was following the footsteps and I was asking questions and I was really like I was genuinely doing the best that I possibly could to make sure that wouldn't happen.
Sure.
And then it all came to a head in almost ruined me, ruined everything.
Yeah.
Right. So my over-identification with this topic was, I can relate with that woman in the sense that she was doing the best she could with the information that she had available and was asking the questions that she thought she was supposed to be asking. And she was trusting and she was trying to give the benefit of the doubt. And when she did have questions about things, she would ask further questions about that. And in my case, it wasn't a manipulative con artist man. It was someone who didn't have the skill set that he needed to have, but projected that he did have, right? In her case, it's a con artist who's intentionally manipulating her.
And it's her husband.
Right. And it's someone she's married to.
When you're in that relationship, of course, you're going to, quote unquote, trust everything you're being told.
Right. I mean, yeah, right.
You trust the church. You trust the school. You trust the doctor. I trust the doctor. But what are they giving me the correct information?
Oh, well, not about the vet food.
I mean,
not about
I don't know. I question your vet.
Not about the cat food, but everything else. But
think about that.
Right. That's exactly what I mean is so she's even more in hook, line, and sinker than even I was because I wasn't married to this person.
I know.
And then when push came to shove in that situation, we had to fix it real quick, figure out what needed to happen. Okay, we're moving on. We're doing things differently, whatever. But I spent a lot of time, which I would imagine this woman is as well, being like, what did I miss? What did I not calculate? What questions didn't I ask? And ultimately, it came down for me to you don't know what you don't know, which is exactly what you just said. I didn't know. And I really sought the expertise in not just one channel. We're talking in 5 different channels. And none of those channels brought up to me the things that needed to be brought up. In her case, she's trusting her husband. Not a good choice. Maybe she should have been talking to a best friend about it who would have been like, oh, this ain't great, right? But to then think at the end of this, which was a possibility that had we not gotten our shit together, that there could have been a responsibility component. Now, would I have served jail time? Hell no, right? That's not what we're talking about.
No, I know.
But there could have been a consequence to that. The double whammy of that, the left-right hook of like, oh my God, you're such a kind, caring, compassionate person who's trusting people and asking the right questions and doing all the things right. And you still got screwed over. Oh, and by the way, we're going to now kick you while you're down it just feels so unfair to me.
Yeah.
And I get the practicality of it, right? I get that it still happened. Whether we wanted it to or not, it still happened.
But I also think and I'm not well versed in like government and U.S. politics versus other countries or whatever. But I also think it's the judicial system that our societal judicial system, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's other countries that are either black and white or whatever. So like, let's say that particular example of the woman and her husband went to trial, right? Now she could have, it's a jury of your peers, right? And so obviously that's the whole manipulation of our system, is that you have the choice, if you can afford it, to hire someone who might be able to manipulate a jury.
Yeah.
Or, there's all of these components.
And then it depends what state you're in.
Correct.
Right.
So there's all these levels of
flexibility
and decision making and justice system. It's not black and white.
Right.
It's not a black and white system. No. And it's based on how much can you pay?
That's
how
right.
much are you willing to invest?
Right.
How much are you willing to do this?
That's right.
And at the end of the day,
that's right. Justice is not just as clear as was that right or was that wrong.
No.
It's like, was it right or was it wrong based in these factors? Where do you live? What are the laws of those lands? What country do you live in? Right. What? All of those things. Whereas in my mind, it's just so clear that's either something that you do morally or something that you don't do morally. However, I remember Melissa Kelly once having a conversation with Jack, who's now like going on to college here soon, or he's going to be a senior this year. So I cannot believe he's that old. But I remember at one point she was trying to teach him about right and wrong. And they went to the grocery store and Melissa grabbed a grape and ate the grape to see if the grapes were good and if she should take the entire bunch. And he was like, Mom, you stole that grape. You didn't pay for that. Right. And she was like, it was such a hard conversation for me to have about the nuances of right and wrong and okay and not okay. Like, would 5 grapes have been okay? Would 10 grapes have been okay? Could you have eaten the entire cookie? Could you get a cookie and eat the entire cookie and then just have the napkin and be like, oh, well, that didn't really happen while you were walking around the store? Like at what point, even in some scenario like that, that's where that, I guess, moral compass comes in, or where that, what is your threshold of what you are okay with? And that is going to differ from person to person to person. Some people might think that one grape, you owe a half of a cent to Danny Wegman, right?
Why is it okay to test the grapes, but you don't take a bite out of the apple?
Right.
Because it's an open.
Right.
Why do you not rip a piece of the bread off? Make sure that's fresh.
Right.
Like, why is it?
Right.
Why are we picking and choosing what food is acceptable?
Right.
It's either all or nothing.
Right.
Is it?
Well, that's to your point. Justice is not just as clearly black and white.
Right.
Right. Same thing. I was having a conversation.
Is there a sign that says test the grapes? Go ahead. Take a little sample.
No, because what if everyone tested the grapes?
Right.
If every single person who came into Wegmans every single week tested the grapes.
It sounds like a packaging issue. Maybe we need to package them different. Sounds like we can maybe manage this a little bit differently.
This is how the businesses start. Okay. I want to be really clear that this is how all of our best ideas have started.
You're interested.
Because I'm like, ooh, speak to me more about that. We have some connections at RIT packaging sites who may be able to get in on this. I got some connections that might be able to help. This is how all the best businesses, I start with a philosophical issue.
Right.
You tell me the answer. And then you tell me that really the real problem here is not about the grapes. It's about this other component. And then, by the way, we should start an LLC associated with the packaging of whatever. And then now we do that now. We do that now.
Great packaging.
And when I say we do that now, I'm now the one taking over all the damn packaging requirements.
But think about that.
And you're like, that was great.
Think about that, right? I mean, maybe that's how some of this systems are put in place, because you have to, if there's a crack or there's a potential like, I can see both ways, then how do we manipulate it to make it go the direction you want it to go?
You know what we do? We make the packaging so absolutely ridiculous that not everyone can access it, because we had to change it. We had to change the whole system for the 4 people that were stealing the grapes. Right. And that gets a bad rap too. Right. It's like, how come we're not allowed to have time off policies anymore? Oh, it's because Rebecca doesn't come to work. Right.
Well, so speaking of packaging, I'm in the Walmarts in the produce section. And this one woman was pissed because you know how they put, well, I don't know if you know, because you, whatever.
I can't wait to hear what you're about to say.
Bell peppers are now in
a sleeve.
Yeah. Right. And she says, what the hell? These are 2 reds and an orange.
Oh.
This should be tricolored.
Absolutely.
And I demand that. Does she not open it? Open every single one and then take the free ones and stick them right in.
Oh, yeah.
Different brand.
Absolutely.
She doesn't give a shit.
I'm trying to make a pasta salad over here.
I'm like, and thinking to myself, that's a different brand.
And
that's a different weight.
Is that okay?
Those are sold by weight. These are already pre-weighted.
Yep. And those were the shit ones from the field that no one wanted. Right. That's why you got the three yellows.
Right.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, your desire, just buy the sleeve and then buy the extra yellow.
Yeah.
Like what the hell?
Folks,
but anyway,
I'm going to need you all to take pictures of yourself at the grocery store with your favorite items that you are trying and put it in the Facebook page. Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to start. We're going to start the trend. What could be our hashtag?
So, speaking of the grocery store,
not moral.
Taylor and I were in the Targets, and it was in between her soccer game, and it was in Pennsylvania. It was hot as hell, and so all she wanted was an acai bowl, whatever those things are, but it's frozen, right? And she's like, "Mom, I only have 20 minutes," and I said, "Okay, take it out of the sleeve." Take it out of it came in a sleeve, and I go, take it out of the sleeve, go to the car, put it in front of the heater, and then eat it. So I have the sleeve with me. So I go to the checkout and I'm like, and I hand her the empty sleeve with nothing in it. She's like, what is this? Garbage? I go, no. My daughter took the food. I just need to pay for it. She's like, what do you mean she took the food? I said, well, you're taking a long ass time in this line, taking one by one, scanning, and we have somewhere to be. So I let her take the food, and she goes, she left the store with it? I said, uh-huh.
Yeah, ma'am, like everyone else does, because apparently we don't stop people on their way out anymore.
No one cares.
Thank you.
And I said, you're lucky I'm still paying for this.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Because if I got away, I could have been like, oh, she got out the door. Great. Throw this away.
Ma'am, I think we have some other problems here to worry about than my asiable.
She goes, well, how do I know this is what she really bought?
Oh, my God. Stop yourself. You know what? Then don't scan it, ma'am.
I almost said that. I almost said, you know what?
I
made that up.
She bought a damn Snickers bar. Have a good day. I can't. Right? I can't with people.
I gave her an empty Gatorade bottle. I go, scan this because she drank it because you were taking too long.
Oh, yeah. She didn't like that either?
No.
Okay.
I said, then scan them twice. I'll pay for it twice.
Yeah, you will not, but yeah. I know. That's not okay.
I wasn't trying to get away with it. I was trying to manage multiple things happening in one time. And anyway.
Yep, and you kept up with your moral code.
Sure did. On that note.
Tell me when to stop my affirmation card.
Now.
Right now. Oh, here's a good one. I know that money flows to me freely when I pursue my passions.
Sure does.
I am abundant.
just steal. It's fine. Take what you want. Take what you want.
Put it in the cart.
I loved that.
Me too. Isn't empathy amazing?
Well, we're amazing. I don't know about all this empathy stuff.
That's fine. I accept you wherever you are.
Oh, God.
I love you.
I love you too.
And if you love us, please like and subscribe to More Love, the Power of Empathy podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
See you next time.